Well, excited to announce our next talk, which I think is maybe even the newest product that Zora has put out for developers out there, which is the Zora API. So I'm going to introduce Isabella from the Zora team. Feel free to come on up and unmute and share your video. Who's going to do an intro to the new API that they put out recently, and it's super powerful. So I think I'm very excited to see what people build with this. And without further ado, I'll stop my screen share here so that Isabella can share hers if she'd like. And yeah, welcome to the show, Isabella. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to kick this off. Let me share my screen. Cool. Just gonna present. And yeah, just great. Checking. Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm Isabella. I work on the backend team at Zora, and today I'm going to be giving a brief intro to the Zora API. So what does the API do? I know API sounds scary, but I promise you it's not. And if you've never used an API before, it can be a little intimidating, but we're going to walk through it together and break it down so it's super simple and so you can get started. At its simplest, it indexes Ethereum events and it turns this into readable data. And you can access this readable data via GraphQL through something such as our API playground. Oops. So what data can I find in the API? We're always adding new data. So every time you check the API, there might be some new stuff. It's like a little treasure chest, every time you check. We'll just go through the list. Some of the things you can find are sales. So we have sales events from different marketplaces such as Seaport, Foundation, Super Rare, etc. Mint events. So if there's like a new token project that has been minted, you can pick up those mint events. So for a collection, if you wanted to query all the recent tokens that have been minted, that's possible. We also support multi-chain. So currently, we're mainly supporting Ethereum mainnet, but as of right now, we have Ring-B tip of chain going. So by tip of chain, I mean it's pulling like the most recent blocks of Ring-B. We haven't done a complete Ring-B backfill of all the Ring-B data history, but you can start playing with that. We have events. So events are basically every event signature that we want to index. We emit an event. We pick up emitted events and we index this into our API. So for example, if you wanted an auction bid, an auction settled, an auction created event, those are types of events you could find in the events endpoint. And for markets is kind of the final state. So for example, if an auction was created and then an auction was bid, and then an auction was settled, if you create the market endpoint, you would see that the auction settled event and you would see the auction in its final state. We also support search. So if you wanted to query across different collections and tokens and you wanted to search, say, something like Zorbs, you would see a bunch of collections and tokens populate that are Zorb related. We also support token queries. So if you wanted to query for different tokens based off of transaction hashes or, like token IDs across multiple collections, that's possible as well. We're also starting to support off-chain orders. So if you use our API, you can go see that we're supporting Seaport off-chain orders. So these are orders that are not on-chain. So if someone's put a listing up and you're able to execute these orders through the call data. And we also support media encoding. So media encoding is really useful. For example, if you find a collection and all of the tokens are, say, 4K images, and you want to load this on your website's probably not going to have a good time and it's going to be very slow. But if you use something like media encoding, you can create performant images. So we can basically convert the images into a different size. So we support things like SVGs, JPEGs, PNGs, videos, and GIFs. And there's a whole bunch of different media encoding types that we support. But I think the best place to find more information on that would be our docs. So what are some of the contracts we index? We index a lot of contracts, and this is always changing as well. And if there are contracts that we're not currently supporting that you want to see supported, like DM me, DM anyone on Zora backend, and we'll try and get it in. But some of the contracts we support are Seaport sales, Seaport off-chain orders, Foundation sales, Wyvern sales, nouns. We actually support all nouns events. So such like a bid, a settle, a auction created, etc. And we support that for little nouns as well. So you can get really data rich nouns and little nouns auction event history. Super Rare, we support super rare sales. CryptoPunks, we support CryptoPunks sales across the marketplace. We obviously support Zora. We V1, Zora V2, and Zora V3. We also support Looks Rare sales and loads more. And we're continuing to add like new contracts every day. So if there's something you want and you're not seeing it here, let us know. How do we index events? So this is an example of going from something you'd see on Etherscan to the actual data in the API. So as you can see, this is a nouns auction event, and it's a bid. So you can see that the sender has placed a bid of this is the raw Ethereum value, and you can see it here as well, and you can see the sender, and you can see that it was extended. So here, what we would do to get it into the state is we would be picking up recent blocks on Ethereum. We would say, oh, this matches our event signatures that we want to track. We would label it through our classification process, which we basically say, you know, when we're attaching a label, it's basically saying like, oh, this is interesting, and this is something, you know, we want to extract and get into the API later. And then we would extract it, which means converting the raw bytecode into something that, you know, is readable and something you can actually query in the API. So there's a bunch of steps, but essentially we're taking all these raw, you know, event logs on Ethereum and getting it into the API, into something that you can query using GraphQL. So together we're going to build a query. So I'm going to walk you through our API playground, and we're going to build a query together. So as you can see, we're going to head to Strawberry, and we're going to do, so to do the same thing, if you wanted to follow along, you can go to api.zora.co/GraphQL, and this is our playground. So together I thought it'd be fun if we did a little sales query. So there's all sorts of filters and things you can do, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is to build a query really fast. So sales types, I want to do a nouns auction sale, and I would like to get information about the token ID. I always like transaction hashes for me because I can put it up on Etherscan as well. I'd like the price. I want to know, so we have for prices, we support a lot of pricing data, so such as like chain token price, which is the Ethereum, native price, UCSD price at, you know, the time of the event. So you can get a lot of really specialized data. So if we query this, you can see, cool, so we can see a bunch of nouns auctions that are populating. So these are auction completed. So we can see that nouns ID 325, this is the raw value, this is the price in USD. Yeah, that's how you build a sales query really fast. And you can quickly change this for, you know, different collections, different contracts, and it's really easy to build something that's super powerful very quickly. Cool. So ideas for building with the API. I think the API is really fun, and it's fun to just, I love playing around with it on GraphQL just to get a feel of what's out there. I am finding new bits of data every day that I didn't even realize was happening on the blockchain. So I really encourage you guys to just get started by playing with it. Some ideas to help with your brainstorm are something like sales bots, collection dashboards, auction marketplaces, NFT art galleries, even trending collections, and, you know, minted token trackers. The possibilities are really endless, and I think if the thing I'd like to nail is just, you know, just get started with the API, just start playing around. I'm sure as you're querying data, these ideas are going to come to you. Yeah. Where can you find more information? So api.zora.co is the best place to go. That's where our API landing page is. And if you do /GraphQL, that's where you're going to find the playgrounds, and docs.zora.co is where you're going to find all of our docs, which has really detailed information on queries you can make, how to make a query with curl, what types of media encoding we support, what contracts we support, and more. So if you're lost or you just want to learn how to get started, I would head to docs as the first thing to do. Yeah. Other than that, like, I think if there are things that you want to see and you have feedback, or you want to help index, I'd say hit us up. My DMs are always open. And yeah, we'd love to get feedback and continue improving. Yeah, with that, do we want to go through questions?
Yeah, let's see. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. While we kind of wait for that, I think it would be maybe helpful to just go through on the maybe just explore a little bit more as we have a decent amount of extra time, just like explore sort of what's possible on the playground.
Yeah.
If that works for you. Like maybe it would make
sure.
sense to just sort of like jump through some of the different options and what's available there.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can head back to the playground. So what I love, it's really easy to just like take away queries and start pulling new queries really quickly. So if you wanted to search for a token and you wanted to, see all event types for a token, that's possible. For mints, we could do a mint query. So you can see collection address. You can see here, like you can get into images and as well. So you can do a lot of different fun queries. So if you just wanted to see like recent mints, doing some upgrades at the moment, so the queries might be a little slow. You can see a bunch of tokens that have been recently minted, and we could actually continue to expand upon that. So we could look into transaction info. So if you wanted to look at block number, so you can see all of the recent transactions. We can order this in different directions as well. So there's different filters for ordering. So you could sort in different directions. There's ways to do aggregate stats across the collections as well. So you could do across floor price across a collection. So if we had a collection address, I don't have one off the top of my head, but if we had one, we could do a aggregate stat with the floor price for a collection as well. And you can do, similarly, you can do NFT count, you could do owners by count, sales volume as well. So if you want to do sales volume across a collection, that's possible too. Aggregate attributes, you're able to do different aggregations here. Search, this is where we're able to do different search queries. So if you wanted to search for Zorb with an entity, oops, too many things.
Yeah, Federico in the chat actually has a specific question about search and basically what fields we can use, we can search on basically. So what fields does search use to find matches was the specific question.
Yeah, so search is like continually still being developed, and like this is, I think, V1 of search. We do matching, I believe, off description and collection address names. And I think this is still like growing and in development. But yeah, it's still being developed essentially.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Isabella. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.